Hello out there and welcome to your Next Mission video podcast. Since 9/11, more than 17 times as many veterans and active duty service members have taken their own lives than were killed in combat. Today we're going to tell you about an organization that's working hard to reduce veteran suicide by providing confidential, barrier-free, stigma-free treatment for our military community. This is going to be a powerful, powerful discussion, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Your Next Mission video podcast, where we tell the stories of those who have served in the past and those who are serving today. From transition to financial wellness, VA benefits to mental health, we cover issues facing veterans, active military, and their families. Now here's your host, the 12th Sergeant Major of the Army and co-founder of the American Freedom Foundation, Jack LtCol.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks to all of our veterans and service members and families for your service to our great country. Now, before we get started, I personally want to thank our presenting sponsors, Navy Federal Credit Union, whose members are the mission, Purdue Global, where you can start your comeback, and USAA, whose mission is taking care of the military community and their families always. With additional sponsorship from Blue Cross Blue Shield FEP Dental and Blue Cross Blue Shield FEP Vision. Together they make your next mission happen. They love our veterans and families. I say it every week. We love them too. Today we're going to talk about a nonprofit that offers confidential, barrier-free, stigma-free PTSD and mental health treatment to the military community and the veteran community. And I'm excited to welcome Dan Kaepernik, Executive Director of Headstrong Project, and a retired Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sergeant Major. Great to be here.
Well,
Good
great
to see you again.
Great to see you again too, sir. Sir, we got a lot to talk about. Before we get started, would you tell the audience just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Spent a little over 20 years in the Marine Corps. Retired in 2000, and then spent the next 20-some years in the for-profit retail world. And then I've been at the Headstrong Project now for just coming up on 2 years and about 2 weeks.
It sounds like you're staying pretty busy.
For sure. I tried to retire, but it didn't work.
Well, it's in your DNA. You just can't retire. I know that for sure. Hey, sir, what's the mission of the Headstrong Project, and how do you go about, really trying to achieve it?
Sure. I think the overall goal is to help veterans and service members triumph over trauma. Our mission really is to provide confidential, obstacle and stigma-free, trauma-focused mental health care to veterans, service members, and their affected families. We currently operate in 17 states with in-person outpatient care, and we can provide telehealth services in all 50 states. We do this through a clinical network of over 300 private practice clinicians that are psychologists, psychiatrists, and licensed therapists, who are expert in at least one of the three core psychotherapies that we utilize, which is EMDR, CPT, and PE. And we also vet each and every one of them for a level of military cultural competence so that they can make sure that they can connect with a service member or veteran. A couple of key things that really differentiate us is speed and access to care. Our internal clinical team provides intake services to clients that come to our website. The job really there is to match them with a clinician that we think is going to have the best opportunity to get the best result in the fastest way possible.
Yeah.
And once they come to us, Sergeant Major, we're going to get them in a seat in front of a therapist on average in under 13 days, which is pretty much gold standard. So those are really couple of key things. The second one really is consistency and cost of care. Our clinical network has the capacity to provide weekly sessions to every one of our clients. And for the first 30 sessions, it's cost free, totally free of charge to the client. Post the 30 sessions, there's a small copay. The vast majority of our clients are going to exit therapy well within those 30 sessions. And the last thing I think that is important to note is it's confidential. We don't share any client information with anyone. We operate outside of the VA. We operate outside of insurance. And those are a couple of the ways that we help to remove the obstacles and stigma to care.
Yeah. Is the clinicians, you say are there veterans yourself? Are most of them veterans that people are helping veterans?
A lot of them are. A lot of them are. Some of them are military spouses. All of them have a committed passion to the veteran service member community, which is why they partner with us in this.
Yeah. Is some of your clinicians, are they volunteers or we're paying to have their services, I'm sure?
Yeah, absolutely. We pay them. They're independent contractors with us. They invoice us for their services, and we pay them directly.
Yeah. What happens? You know, I got to tell you. I got to tell you a little story here. I went to. I've had, you know, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I've had post-traumatic stress for probably 50 plus years. But I think you got highs and lows. You know, some days you're just, you know, down. You can't figure out why. And I thought, maybe I'll just go talk to somebody. And I won't tell you where I went, but I went and talked to. I went to talk to, you know, a doctor, and they set up an appointment, and it was through the VA. I'm not bad mouthing the VA because I use the VA all the time, but it's a particular instance. I went to the VA and I had an appointment, and they canceled the appointment and told me to come back another day, and then I was supposed to be there at 8 o'clock, and they couldn't see me until 3 o'clock. And then I talked to the person at 3 o'clock and told them what my issue was, and he said, well, I really can't help you. And I thought, oh, thanks a lot. See you later. I just left, and so I never went back there. Do you ever? What if I don't fit in? I mean, what if I find somebody that I just am not a fit with? What do you do about that?
Yeah, the objective here is to get you the help you need in the fastest way possible. And if there's not a connection with that individual therapist, we'll just make a change. And that could come at the request of the individual, or it could come at the request of the clinician. If the clinician doesn't feel like they're getting a good level of engagement, that they're able to connect with that client, or the client doesn't feel that they can connect with the therapist, we'll make a change.
Does that happen very often?
It's not that frequent.
Yeah.
It does happen from time to time, but it's not that frequent. And I think a big part of that is the work that we do in vetting the clinicians that we bring aboard as our partners.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that their level of competency in the military community is at a very high level.
Yeah. I got to ask one question. We're going to take a break. Do you have more junior enlisted or more officers, or a mix of both as you get in there?
It's a mix of everyone, and it doesn't discriminate by pay grade either.
Yeah, it's funny because we're going to talk about it in a few minutes. You know, you was taught to sort of keep everything to yourself and don't tell people about whatever your issues are. But so it's not surprising. I tell people all the time, the reason we have so many people that we talk about taking their lives is because they just don't tell their story, and they sort of keep everything to yourself.
Agree. I think my generation, and certainly your generation, that's the way things were done. I think there's an opening now to an understanding of the mental health challenges that are out there, and people are getting more open to that. And that was one of the reasons why this project was founded, was to eliminate those obstacles, barriers to care, and stigma associated with care. And I think the confidentiality nature of our project is a big factor there.
Yeah. Again, yeah. I remember when I was struggling a little bit, and I think I'll tell you again. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. But I just went through some anger issues, and I didn't fit in, and I just was struggling quite a bit. And I really, to tell you the truth, at the time, and that was years ago. At the time, I really didn't think I had a problem, I guess. You know, I think a lot of people are the same way. I don't have a problem. Everything's okay. But it's sort of a struggle to open up to somebody, especially if you don't know them that well, or they don't have any connection. That's why I asked if a lot of the clinicians were veterans, or at least associated with the veteran community quite a bit.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. So we need to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the reasons veterans suicide rate is, and we can talk about this for probably 2-3 days. So high. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You got it.
This is your Next Mission video podcast with me, your host, Jack Tilley, 12th Sergeant Major of the Army. And this is such an important subject for all of us about suicide, how to prevent suicide, or how to get you to open up just a little bit more. But this is a discussion we all have to have. So if you're enjoying this discussion, I know that you are, because we need you to listen to us. Please like us. Click on that subscribe button below. And be sure to click on the bell to receive notifications of all of our upcoming video podcast releases. I'll be right back after word from my presenting sponsors.
You're watching Your Next Mission video podcast, proudly presented by Navy Federal Credit Union, the most trusted credit union owned by members of the military community, serving all branches of the armed forces and their families. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Their members are the mission. Purdue Global. You're ready for a comeback, and with Purdue Global, you can do more than take classes. You can take charge of your story, of your career, of your life. Earn a degree you can be proud of and get an education employers respect. Start your comeback at purdueglobal.edu. And USAA.
A promise is a trust not to be broken, whether spoken with an oath
Solemnly swear.
or sealed with a pinky. And after 100 years, we're still taking care of the military community and their families. That's our mission, always.
Now back to your host, the 12th Sergeant Major of the Army, Jack L. Tilley.
Welcome back. We're talking with Dan Kaepernik, a retired Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel who is the Executive Director of Headstrong Project. Before we get back to our discussion, I want to let you know about a way you can support the work we were doing on behalf of the veterans and their families and at the American Freedom Foundation. If you have a used vehicle you're planning on getting rid of, or some property you don't have any plans for, you can donate it. Visit our website at AmericanFreedomFoundation.org/donate and click on the vehicle donation button or the home donation button to work to support our work. We really would appreciate it. Sir, there's no question that the suicide rate among veterans is way too high. How much is that factor difficulty really is because, transition from the military to civilian life?
I think that's a big part of it. I think that 1 year period, if you will, from transitioning from active duty to the veteran status is one of the most dangerous times for a service member. You go from being with a unit 24/7. Your whole community is your unit, whether it's a fire team, platoon, squadron, whatever, to potentially having no unit at all, and then on your own. And certainly that transitional plan of what you plan to do when you leave and how you've prepared yourself for that is going to help dramatically. But if you don't have that plan and you're on your own and you're struggling, it can be a real challenge. And we continue to see these suicide rates stay the same, 6,500 a year roughly on average. When I look at my personal measure of success is for a service member to successfully transition back into being a productive member of family and community. And that's a challenge. It's not a light switch that you just turn on. It's a journey. And what we do here at the Headstrong Project, I think, is the first step on that journey. And it's the ability to get the mental headspace correct so that a service member can take advantage of all of the veteran service organizations and the services that they provide out there to help with that transition.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that mental headspace right, it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things that I went through. First of all, I was a senior enlisted guy for 1.3 million people, so I identify that fact. All of a sudden, you got all these people to help you. I remember one time I got out, but I hadn't been out probably 2 weeks, and my computer sort of messed up. And I'm used to calling somebody, come in and fix their computer. I said, geez, now how am I going to fix it? How am I going to get this done? So, and then the other thing is just finding the right community and the right amount of people that you really feel comfortable with and talk to. And so you can sort of, have the same issues or can talk about things that they understand. A lot of times when you get out, nothing against the civilian community, but a lot of times you'll talk about issues that you have and they'll sort of change the subject because they don't feel comfortable talking about them. So
Yeah.
it's a little tough.
You see that in the corporate world.
Oh, yeah.
With the veterans organizations inside of corporate America that are trying to promote what the veterans bring to the table. And it's a difficult, as you say, Sergeant Major, it's difficult for someone who has not been associated with the military to understand some of the nuances within the veteran community and how they interact. And you yourself, at the top of the food chain in the enlisted ranks for sure. potentially going out to an entry-level position in the corporate world, being in charge of, millions of people as you were, and the amount of equipment and material that you're responsible for. And now you go into a job where you've got one direct report, maybe, or maybe you're an individual contributor.
Yeah, I used to say it's me and my wife and my son, because I got old son's handicapped. He's still living with us, but I'm not even in charge of those guys. They're in charge of me. I never can get them. Hey, but it's crazy. But you got to make that adjustment. That's why I always say you got to talk. You got to tell people how you feel. You got to explain those issues. And if you feel bad, tell somebody about it. And for me personally now, my wife is always my best sounding board. She may not listen too, I don't know, but she's I've told her so many stuff, and she'll always come back to me and say, "Well, you did that, or you said that before," or something like that. So she always gets me. Hey, so many veterans suffer from PTSD. So, PTS. I guess they've renamed it a couple times. PTSD, like me, I dealt with it for over 50 years. Does the Headstrong Project clinicians treat more cases of post-traumatic stress more than anything else? I would think they would, huh?
Yeah, I was going to add one more thing,
Yeah,
Sergeant
sure.
Major,
Go
to
ahead.
that is, the veteran being able to communicate and talk about what they're feeling. But we also got to be good listeners as part of the
Oh,
community.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
And we have to listen to our other veteran brothers and sisters that are telling their story and be supportive of that as well. But the Headstrong Project is a trauma-focused organization. That's what we treat. And so pretty much all of the clients that we have PTSD. We're not necessarily what you would term a suicide prevention organization. That's a byproduct of what we do. And you think folks with PTSD have a significantly higher probability of choosing to die by suicide than the rest of the population. And so when you can mitigate or even cure PTSD, you bring that risk down dramatically. And so that's our focus.
Yeah, but one of the problems is just, and you said it a minute ago, being a good listener, being a communicator, but the problem is telling people how you feel. And we're taught, I was taught, and you was taught the same thing. We keep all that stuff to ourselves because we think it affects our promotions or how people look at us or whatever. And so you got to be careful about, what you're saying. I mean, it's tough, and that's why I think it's always important for somebody to, pick up a phone and call somebody and see if they need help. But we just keep all that stuff to ourselves, and that's what the struggle is. One last thing the other thing I think is the people that get out and don't talk about those things, go home, sit on that couch, watch TV, and think about what they've went through or what they're going through there. And we've got to figure out a way to reach out. That's why I tell people all the time, reach out to a veteran, call them, talk to them, do what you can do.
Yeah, and that's the confidentiality, I think, which is so important that we have, which can help eliminate some of those concerns. If you're an active duty service member, the promotion, the security clearances, your credibility within your unit, and how you're viewed. Back in my day, you'd probably raise your hand and say you have a drug problem rather than say you have a mental health problem.
Yeah.
And you'd be treated differently.
Yeah, but it's just, but I didn't mean to cut you off, sir, but it's just hard for them to pick up the phone and call and ask for help.
Yep.
Or ask for, that's just the toughest part. I don't know how we'll ever break that stigma. This is such an important subject to me, and I don't mean to cut you off,
No, you're good.
but we need to make sure that we start talking about those things earlier on in the military community. We should talk, I know we don't want to talk about our educational officers programs or non-commissioned officer program, but we should. We should talk about how or what things they're going to go through because, as a senior NCO, I'm not sure I fully understand those kind of things at the particular time anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, as the rest of the community, we need to be observant and hear what people are saying and take it for reality.
Yeah.
And make the recommendations to expedite themselves getting into some sort of therapy.
Yeah.
And we can do that. I had a friend of mine, maybe 5-6 months ago, who I follow on some of the social media, and he was making some commentary that he was taking a mental health day to go do something. And I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, why don't you come here?" And he did. and he was a client for a number of months, and he's now no longer a client, and he's in a much better place. And so I think as peers and friends and community, we need to be observant, and we need to help our brothers and sisters.
Yeah. I think the other thing we got to do too is ask those pointed questions. You're like, are you
Sure.
thinking about taking your life?
No,
And
you're thinking about
don't beat
harming yourself.
That's right. Don't beat around the bush. Just ask point,
Yep.
and they'll answer you. You know.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just tough, and it's you know I've been looking at this. You've been looking at this for a lot of years, and it's mind-boggling to me that we can't figure out a solution. But I'm glad to see that there's a lot of people out there trying to do all they can to make it better.
Well, and the suicide thing is time and distance.
Yeah.
Eliminating the means and generating time, because they're trigger events that will end up pushing someone to make that decision. And if you can create time and distance or space, you eliminate that initial trigger potentially.
Yeah.
And it's important.
Yeah. Oh man, it just is again. Hey, sir, we need to take another quick break. When we come back, I'd like to talk about the Face to Fight Coalition, which
Sure.
which we're both part of. So don't go anywhere. I know you're not, but stay right there. I'll be right back. All right. Now here's a word from one more of the organizations that help make this show possible.
You're watching Your Next Mission video podcast, brought to you in part by Blue Cross Blue Shield FEP Dental, Blue Cross Blue Shield FEP Vision.
Part of transitioning out is that dental and vision insurance breaks off from your medical insurance.
Vision and dental is very important to be able to enjoy your retirement.
Blue Cross Blue Shield makes the transition so much easier.
Now back to your host, the 12th Sergeant Major of the Army, Jack L. Tilley.
Welcome back. We're blessed to be here today with Dan Kaepernik, a retired Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Headstrong Project. Remember, this is your show. We know there's so many issues that directly affect you, and we want to address each and every one of them. So please, 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 as I said many times, reach out to me. Tell me what topics you'd like us to cover. You can leave me a message at 844-424-1134 or send me an email at smatilley@yournextmission.org. And guess what? I'll reach back out to you. Sir, Headstrong Project is part of the Face to Fight Coalition, just as we are at Your Next Mission at the American Freedom Foundation. For anyone that doesn't know anything about the Face to Fight, it's working to break the stigma surrounding the suicide in the military community. So I guess my question to you is, why was it important for you, our Headstrong Project, to be part of the Face to Fight team?
Oh, absolutely. It's important for us to be a part of that. The objective there with USAA's Face to Fight initiative is to cut veteran suicide in half by 2030. We're a big part of that. As I said earlier, when you treat the underlying trauma, you significantly reduce the probability the probability of someone choosing to die by suicide. And so, since the inception of the project, we've delivered over 215,000 clinical sessions, and over the next 5 years, we'll deliver another 250,000 clinical sessions.
Wow!
And every one of those takes a veteran or service member closer or farther away from that probability of choosing to die by suicide. So, to us, it's completely in line with our core mission, which is to help get that mental headspace right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, did families get involved too?
Yeah, so the services that we provide individual therapy, we provide couples therapy, we do neurofeedback, we do family therapy, we provide medication management if required for a limited period of time. A couple of really new programs that we brought in, tested last year, piloted last year, and are bringing into our core this year is, number one is an accelerated treatment program, which is rather than a weekly session, taking maybe 4 or 5 sessions and putting it into one day or over the course of a weekend to try to accelerate that treatment. And we're getting great results from that. The other thing that we talk about is the family. Historically, we've treated Gold Star families. This year, we've started a true family therapy program to support the individual. So family can either be a great supporter or they can be a negative impact on a service member's journey. And helping the family understand what's going on and how they can be a positive influence is certainly critical in that healing journey. And so we've started that this year, and we're getting a great success out of that.
Yeah, having the family involved is so important because it's if you get out there again. I talk to my wife all the time. I've been married a long time, but I talk to my wife all the time about stuff, and having that family involvement, your kids and all of them involved in that process is important because you just don't know. You just don't know how war affects you. I went to war at 18 years old. I always tell everybody I went at 18 and came back at 55. I grew so much during war, so it's a great program, and I'm glad you're out there doing it. One last question. I'm going to ask you about your phone number, website, but how do you market your product? How do you tell people about Headstrong? How do you get it out there?
A lot of it is word of mouth.
Yeah.
A lot of it is client telling other service members or veterans. Like I said, we're in 17 states now. Our longer term goal is to get to the point through scale and expansion where we can provide services to any veteran anywhere.
Yeah.
Right now, like I said, we're in 17 states with in-person outpatient care. We're adding 2 to 3 states a year over the foreseeable future, and so just trying to get to those people in those states that we can continue to provide this service to.
Yeah. Hey, sir, if somebody wants to reach out to you, is it a phone number or website? If they're struggling or something, need some help, what's the
website's easy, theheadstrongproject.org.
I remember that one. Okay.
Headstrongproject.org, right on the landing page on the top right is a button that's called Connect to Care. Click on it, you answer 2 questions, and you're going to get inputted into our system. And then our intake coordinators, which are part of our internal clinical team, will reach out to you within 2 days, is what we say. In practice, it's generally the same day. And in some cases, it could be within minutes. Our clinical team is monitoring that Connect to Care portal all the time. And so as soon as you come into it, we're going to connect back with you and get you into our program.
I was sitting there thinking as you're talking, what if the service member or veteran doesn't want to contact you and a family member contacts you and says, hey, look, my husband or my spouse or my boyfriend or whatever is having problems. Do you ever get any stuff like that, or people reach out to you like that?
I'm sure from time to time we do, but the individual is going to have to come to the website at some point.
Yeah. They got to identify the fact that they need help and help. And if they don't do that, then you certainly can't help them. Hey, this has been a great discussion. Any final thoughts? Maybe you want to reemphasize to the people that are listening today, or you want to say, anything you want to share with them?
Yeah, a couple things that I would say. One, it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
We all need it from time to time. My wife tells me all the time I need help. And,
mine does
gives me
too.
A lot of guidance. So I think that's one, and then don't wait. The worst thing that can do is just wait. If you think you need some help, just go to headstrongproject.org, connect to care, and let's get it started. The worst that's going to happen is you're going to get better. And I think that's a real positive outcome. And the stigma and the obstacles, we're here to eliminate those to get you into care and get you right. And like I said, the measure of success is productive member of family and community. You think about someone who's gotten treatment, holding a job, great relationships, paying their taxes, coaching a Little League baseball team, and they're a member of the community. And that's where we want to get to. The military will change you. There's no question about that. But we want to get back to being as much of a normal, quote unquote, individual within the community that we can. And we're here to help. So Sergeant Major, I really appreciate the time. It's been great.
No, I appreciate it. And thanks for coming on the show. I'm going to say one more thing. For the people listening today, never think you're alone. We're all part of a family. Even though we may rival a little bit with the Marine Corps and the Army and the Navy, but that's okay. That's fun. But we're all veterans, and we need to make sure that we take care of each other because, we just struggle sometimes. So I just appreciate what you're doing. Keep up the good work. And if we can ever help you, please let us know.
You betcha. It's a band of brothers and sisters, Sergeant Major.
Yeah, I believe that. Hey, thanks a lot, sir. Appreciate it.
You betcha. Take care.
Yes, sir. Thanks again, Lieutenant Colonel retired Dan Kaepernik from the Headstrong Project for being with us today. I'm Jack Tilley, 12th Sergeant Major of the Army, and you've been enjoying Your Next Mission video podcast. And thank you for joining us. Log on to our website at yournextmission.org and leave me a review. When you're talking, tell me good and bad. Tell me what I need to do better. While you're there, you can visit our nonprofit and corporate partners who have jobs and services available that can assist you in your transition from the military. And check out our job board in partnership with Recruit Military and Opline, where you can create your own personal profile that will match you with just the right job in real time. You can follow me on all my personal social media pages, Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Rumble. And if you like what we're doing at Your Next Mission, please click on that subscribe button below. And don't forget to click on the bell to receive notifications about our upcoming video podcasts. Remember, we want to hear from you. Please leave me a message at 844-424-1134 or send me an email at smatilley@yournextmission.org. Thanks again to Lieutenant Colonel retired Kaepernik for joining us today. And when we talk about suicides or we talk about people that struggle, I said it just a minute ago, we're all part of a family. And we all need to make sure we take care of each other. And I asked the colonel about, is it privates or generals that are struggling? All of us struggle. All of us have so many things that we keep to ourselves and we're afraid to tell people about. Don't be afraid. You're not by yourself. We're all together, and we've all seen things that we want to forget about. I'm pretty open about my post-traumatic stress, and I tell you, I'm not afraid to say that sometimes I cry. Sometimes I struggle, but it's okay to struggle. It's okay to cry, but you're not by yourself. We're all part of a band of brothers and sisters that have struggled together for so many years. So stay with us. We're here to help you each and every day. So reach out to me, to the colonel, to anybody, and we'll do anything we can to help you. Thanks to New Mind Studios and, of course, our sponsors, Navy Federal Credit Union, Purdue Global, USAA, Blue Cross Blue Shield, FEP Dental, and Blue Cross Blue Shield, FEP Vision. We appreciate all you do for our military. And as always, see you on the high ground. Hooah!
You've been listening to Your Next Mission, brought to you by the American Freedom Foundation. Learn more by visiting yournextmission.org.